So welcome to just this moment, just being in your body right now. This morning, today's practice is a little less of a tool, more of an idea or maybe a framework. And it's about expansion and contraction, the truth of expansion and contraction. And a few things. So I want to give a little context to that, and then we're going to try an experiment in our quiet time. And so we'll have a little bit of sitting or meditation time, however you choose to be in that time, whether you're lying down or sitting. So expansion and contraction, it's so close. It's as close as every breath you take. There's an inhale and there's an exhale. Over and over and over. Expansion and contraction. And we don't get to pick, well, I want to be only inhale. I like the inhale. That's the only one I want. We don't get to say that, right? It's just a given that it's expansion and contraction in this ongoing relationship. And the thing is, everything that is alive is in a continuous series, a lifelong cycle of expansions and contractions. That's what we are. Your heartbeat, the coursing through your body, your digestive tract, like it's all expansion and contraction. It's what makes us alive. So it gets a little harder to swallow when we take it out of biology and we think, okay, well, expansion and contraction might also look like things that are hard and then things that I call easy. Expansion and contraction in perspective. I'm able to really have this wide, expansive perspective of a situation or life. And then contraction. I'm in a ball. I'm caught up in a very tight moment in one of those spirals. Contraction. We don't like those. And often what we do to this idea of expansion and contraction is we call it good or bad, or easy or hard, or we call it I like this or I don't like this. So again, like nature doesn't care. Like if we say, well, that's not fair, even in the, no, I don't want to say that yet. Nature doesn't know what fair, there's no such thing as fair. There's only cycles. That's it. There's birth, death, and regeneration or rebirth. That's all. Expansion and contraction and expansion and contraction. So I wanted to bring this up because sometimes it's just easier to name it. Like, okay, if I can acknowledge that all of life is an expansion and contraction, including the stock market, including what happens in the world. So on this very micro level, in every hour, you might have 50 expansions and contractions, right? Capacity to be with, capacity to adapt, holding of all of the, of course, emotions, right? I'm able to, I'm not able to. So that's the immediate experience. And then the bigger, the macro is that nothing ever stays the same forever. And, the market won't always be on an upswing. That's just not how life works. We won't always be healthy and well. That's not how humans work. It's not how bodies work. So I just wanted to name it, when we can just name it and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, this is nature. And then when we're in a contraction, the contraction of even labor, that's how birth happens, by expansion and contraction. Then we can just say, okay, I'm in a contraction. And then it might take some of the emotion out of it. In our house, we use the mantra, this is what's happening. And what makes it even more fun is it's a quote from the movie Anchorman with Will Ferrell. So spiritual teachings come from everywhere. This is what's happening. It's just an emotional. It's just, this is what's happening. So let's try an experiment with our hands as we start to settle into some quiet time. So you can shift, you might even roll your shoulders around a little bit. Hello, good morning. Check in with your jaw. You can give it a little massage or just move it around. Oof. And then here's what we'll try with our hands. And again, you can be lying down, you can be sitting, it can be your favorite chair. Make yourself comfortable. Make sure you're at ease. One or both hands, doesn't matter. All you're going to do is slowly come into a very gentle closed fist. Not like the white knuckle thing, but really gentle. And then a really gentle opening and expansion. And you'll do it in your lap. Okay, you'll do it on your thigh or in your lap or resting somewhere. So if the eyes want to close, they can. Again, letting there be just a little bit of physical settling, maybe a little bit of skin softening. And then as you're ready, if you haven't already, just beginning a gentle closing contraction and a gentle opening expansion. And you're noticing the background of your breath. And the softening of the face. And mostly letting your attention rest on this feeling of expanding and contracting of the hand. And you can just notice if there's like preference coming up. Or other narration or story about it. And see if you can just come back, if it can be a little less emotional, just to the act of and the feeling of expanding and contracting in this very small way. It can be any pace you want. And it's kind of a funny thing that as humans, sometimes we tend to only notice the all the way closed or the all the way open. And see if you can be aware of the opening and the closing every point along the way is all the way. I heard a quote, something like, the flower believes it is open in every point of its blossoming. And then for these remaining moments, if it feels interesting, you can continue to explore the hands in this way. If it feels interesting, you can explore having one palm open and the other hand in a gentle contraction, symbolizing both the contraction and the expansion. It's kind of like the opposites practice that we did, where we're giving ourselves the opportunity to widen the window of our comfort, our ability to sit with perhaps unknown or discomfort, and to open ourselves to a broader range of experience. And if anything about the hands now, or in another minute, feels like it's not supporting you in this time, it's actually kind of distracting or something, just completely let it go. You might be aware of expansions and contractions in your attention expanding out into, a thought or a sound that you heard, and then coming back to this more concentrated experience of just sitting, of being in your body. And you might be aware of the expansions and contractions of each breath, or your heartbeat. Your whole body pulsing, beating, expanding, and contracting. The state of being alive. And we can be with that without preference, without judgment, just that it is. And for these remaining moments, if there is that specific attention on the hands or somewhere else, see how it feels to let that go and be with just a little more panoramic experience of being you, inviting in the entirety of what it's like to be you right now. So a few lines from Rilke. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Very, very gentle as you begin to come back into some movement, as you allow your external senses to expand a little further out into the room, or even just out into the awareness of where you are, your morning. So rather than like, oh, it's been a bad day or it's been a good day, maybe it's expansion and contraction, and just, of course, the of courseness of expansions and contractions. We're going to be able to be with what's happening more spaciously sometimes and less spaciously other times. It's just natural. It's just how it is. Waves on the ocean, the tides, the cycles of nature. So I hope any of that is helpful. Would love to hear how you're doing, how things are for you, and what practices you're using, what resources you're finding really supportive. Sending so much love out into your day, friends. Take care.